When I was doing the electrical connections for the taillights, originally, this is what most everything looked like, but on right here, this little flat plate is where you would have a button crimp contact, so the light bulb has something to connect to. And the little crimp fell off, and I'm like, oh no! Now you can get replacement crimps on AliExpress, but I can't find them anywhere in the United States. That being said, I was able to cannibalize stuff from this part right here, Dorman 85801. It's basically the same type of connector, it's just not going to fit perfectly inside of the original housing with the hardware it comes with. So I just pulled the wires out of there, slotted them through the original connection right here, and now everything just kind of pulls together and I should have a good connection again. Boy howdy, after finagling with all the wiring and such and finding new grounds for things that had bad grounds in the frames and redoing housings that needed to be rebuilt and fitting the new LEDs in place of where incandescent bulbs used to be, we finally got it. So this light is on, license plate light is on, and that light's on. So that light was easy. This one I was showing you before needed the new contacts put in, and this this little bugger was a pain in the butt because this license plate light is actually one of these. It is a number 63. Yeah, 63. This is a really weird sized bulb. There's not a whole lot of LED equivalents, but I used an 1157 in its place, and I shimmed it with some aluminum foil. So what I did is I got some of this, flattened it out, and wrapped it around the base of the bulb once, and that held it in place. The main thing is it was wiggling forward and backwards, and the back contact wasn't making wasn't contacting the connection properly, so it was kind of just on off on off. But once I shimmed it, it just holds itself in place, and that was fine and all. But it had a bad ground, and I needed to redo that. So the ground has been made by this red wire. And now it's kind of clever. What I did is I just wrapped a bunch of this red wire around the base of the bulb, routed it down underneath everything here, and just brought it into here through the grommet hole and connected it to a known ground. And that's how I got this to work. Now there's a lot of wiring that needed to be thought out for this because it wasn't particularly simple. So the original ground is all the way over there, and it just wasn't working for anything. So I had to find new grounds for everything. So let's go over all the electrical mumbo jumbo and show you what exactly I did. So the white wire is a ground, and that's grounded to this part, which greatly, to my surprise, grounds the entire frame wonderfully. Then from there, we have to have our brown connection, which is our just the lights are on and they're just kind of idling on. This brown wire goes to one part of the bulb, contacts on the back of the bulb, and that keeps the light on. Now to make this fit, I could have routed this brown wire all the way back there across the other side to over here, but because I'm putting the mat back down, it wasn't really necessary. So I used a T junction right here and just routed that over here, and then used that same wire splice into the same connection that would be used for this bulb. Now to power this is also the brown wire. So over here we just utilize the stock wire and put another T connection in, and that was able to do that. And then we're using the ground here for that bulb. Now to power each of the other lights, so yellow is our turning left turn signal, and that goes the wires all the way back to the bulb. And then our green is our turning right signal, which goes all the way back over there. So now everything's hooked up, and it's just using crimped spade connectors at the moment. When I finalize everything and I know exactly how I want it permanently, I'm going to solder and shrink wrap proper RV connections, these Molex connections, get new ones, because these are properly waterproof. They're water sealed, and they're much more secure, but I really need new ones. That being said, when just testing out the connections, you need to be able to swap things around and ensure everything works properly. So these quick crimped spade connections are just really simple to use in that regard. Now that it's dark out, you can clearly see the lights are working beautifully. I do gotta change one thing up though. The hole that these wires are going through needs a different type of grommet, so I'm gonna go and pick one up and put that in place. So back here I used a 11 millimeter outer diameter grommet that I got from O'Reilly's. It is this Dorman grommet set that happened to have what I was looking for. Well, it's currently been raining outside for the last few days, so I figured on the camper I would try and make a new version of what was previously there, which is the table. This table here has some metal feet that came with it that connect to a piece of wood and a leg, and that thing clips into part of the frame of the camper. So as you can see, the old wood, that's not going to be able to be refurbished. So I got some new wood, I sanded it down nice and smooth, and I'm going to put some spar urethane on it because I really like the stuff now that I've used it, and get it nice and protected. So, as I was mentioning in a previous video, getting to the spots right behind this wheel well, kind of a pain in the butt with a tool. So I got this little handheld belt sander to try and help me out with that, and so far it's working okay. It's a cheap Harbor Freight special, but as long as it gets the job done, I can urethane that one last section and then start focusing on some more pertinent tasks. So I just got done finishing a spar urethaning on one side of what is replacing the old original table. This is 3 coats, and just for a comparison, this is what it looks like right now. It's all flat, nice and shiny. This is just the sanded surface. So this is all nice and flat too, but I am going to at least put 1 coat of urethane on the bottom because I want this to try and last as long as I can without having to make another one. So it's looking pretty good. Bolts that hold the pieces of metal that connect the wood table to the frame of the camper are a bit rusty. They do still work, but I'm dousing them in some vinegar to try and remove said rust. Well, they've been sitting in the vinegar for like 12 hours now, and they're not perfect, but they're definitely a heck of a lot better than they were before, so I think this will be fine for now. And just like that, the feet that hold the table to the frame of the camper are installed. There is another foot that sits on the back side of this piece of wood, but I'll show you what that looks like. And bada bing, bada boom, we've got ourselves the table. These metal clips at the end hook into this bar on the side of the camper. And then this pole, there's actually a hole in the floor for a little screw that protrudes out of this leg. And then this screw on top goes into this leg as well, and huzzah! We have a table. And I chose to use the triple urethane side as the side that is used for all the general usage situations. And the bottom side is urethane just for some protection. But yeah, it didn't come out as beautiful as the floor and the ground because this is particle board, and that's not particle board. But it's protected all the same. So the main deck is not the only wood that needs to be preserved. The beds sit on a wood plank, which For better or worse, they're riveted in place, so it's not like we're going to be able to replace this. But it's not far gone. It is a little wet because of the non-stop rain that we had for the last week. But for once, there's going to be no rain for a little while. And I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to let this wood dry out. And I've got some more sanding discs and some more spar urethane to treat the wood so that the rain don't destroy the wood. Alright, both sides where the beds are have been sanded and urethaned. So this is the second coat I just finished on this side, and then this side's had its second coat. And I'm basically just going to let them dry, and now I don't have to worry about the rain destroying the wood if a little bit gets in on the corners where it doesn't, like, the canvas doesn't really make a great seal.